PDF stuff.
No, we're okay. I didn't plan well for this. I thought for some reason my brain told me I had this done already, and I didn't. Because I was like, oh, there's a quiz and a reading last night. I thought I had that done yesterday. Whoops. Okay. I made it to problem 4 and didn't actually get to start it, but we'll kind of go over it. Are we supposed to come up with like a complete conclusion at the end? Because a lot of them, if you looked at the instructions, the scores are all over the place. Like, oh, well, this one's a -1, this one's a -2, but this one's a 2, and this is a 0. Like, when do you come up with the conclusion? When it, like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think it needs to be a specific conclusion. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I don't have my headphones in. Am I echoing to you guys too?
Nope. I don't hear an echo.
Oh, okay. Hold on. It might be easier though if I do this.
Yeah. It's hard to think when you hear yourself.
Yeah. Hold on one sec. Okay. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think we have to come up with a specific conclusion. I think just the first, the first 3, I think we just have to put on each, sorry, on each step or each, not a step, each
variable.
Yes. What, how that is affected in that, with that.
And that one doesn't need a score?
It didn't look like, the only ones I saw that needed a score were 4 and 6, and I didn't see that it needed one on 5 either, but so I didn't know if it just skipped that or if I just misread
I was following the examples in the end of the thing, and so they had the scoring in there, and so I thought, oh, well, maybe I need to do that.
Did you have the score? I didn't even, I guess, I mean, I saw it when I read it a while, because I took my quiz like on Monday or something. And so I did see it, but I didn't even think to look at those. Did they have that score on each of them?
Yeah, on each of them. So they had like the light switch, efficiency. This isn't a problem because, the light switch responds to the user input. 2, can't be improved. So like that was their score. On each of them. So I was following the examples because they had a score for it and different things. And then I just ditched the examples and pulled up the scoring system and was trying like following the descriptions on those to see, okay, which one of these seems more likely for it. I don't know.
Yeah, and with this thing, there's more than one thing that can be an issue too. So.
Okay, so for the first one, did we find efficiency to be a problem?
Yes.
The fridge?
Yeah, and I didn't score it. I just put, I just went kind of by the definition. So I just put, it's not very, it will require a great amount of effort to figure it out.
Well,
so you can.
Is it figuring it out or is it doing it? Because I thought that you turn a knob, it will respond quickly. You could change it quickly. The system will respond to whatever you change it to. It's the user that doesn't know how to use it. I would think the efficiency wouldn't be a problem because you can quickly just change it. Whereas like on the quiz, the DVDs, and having to put in each of the DVDs, they had to wait for each of the warning messages. It wasn't efficient to go through every single DVD. But if they're just moving the knobs, wouldn't that be efficient? Because it's quick. I don't know. I don't even know if I did this right.
I was kind of looking at the, well, it was that little PDF you just put on the thing, which was also the stuff that was in the textbook.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said that it was fine, efficient-wise, like it wasn't, because the thing says for like a 0, productivity of members of the target user group is typical when compared to similar designs. So my thought was that other fridges have knobs. So it's the same, the specific design might be different, but it has the same, it's typical when compared to other refrigerators, that it will have a knob for the fridge and a knob for the freezer. That was my take on that. But I'm actually a little more confused this week than I was last week about the specifics of each of those and how what it actually is asking. That'll make more sense when I explain later part I had problems with, but.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess, I mean, you're right. I was thinking efficiency of using the knob. So I would like as far as learning. So I was probably putting more into it. So I mean, that's totally fine because you're right.
Well, that's where I had confusions on a few things though, that I was like, well, does it mean like, is this part talking about the system or talking about the user using it? So I did have some confusion in some of that too. So I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of went by the scoring sheet because the scoring sheet for efficiency is just, you know, productivity of the user group is typical when compared to similar designs, like we just said. That it's similar, like the design, it's easy to just move and turn and have it respond. I think the efficiency is like the response to it. The learnability, it was to achieve expert status or things. So is it difficult in some ways to use? But at the same time, difficulty kind of makes me think of the simplicity. And like it felt like it was all over the place. I had a hard time with the quiz. I had to retake it like 6 times.
See, and this one was easy. I already took it once. So that's, I mean, that last one I think we had to take like 6 times. I took it so many. But this one, I didn't feel like this is hard. I just went really by the definitions. It says efficiency, the amount of effort or time required to perform a task.
Okay, so the task
okay.
performed was quick. Is that what we're saying?
So, I mean, I guess, but it's going to take her a long time to figure out how to use it. But I guess, yes, if we're just talking about her turning the knob, I mean, you know, like being able to turn the knob and there being a response, then yes, I mean, I guess it would be.
Yeah, when I'm looking at the examples that were in the book, so the light switch one, it says it's not a problem because the light switch will respond to user input immediately. So I guess if we look at it that way, and it's the same with the little cell phone model, let's see, what does it say? The phone unlocks easily. So it probably, the efficiency is probably fine because the knobs actually turn like a normal refrigerator would, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. All right, so the learnability, did we decide that was an issue?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. How so?
Again, I went with the definition. So it's just called the path to becoming proficient. And I still don't quite understand. I mean, I've looked at that knob, their system for a long time. So I just put the instructions are confusing and it will take a while to figure out and become proficient.
Yeah.
Right. And I took a different approach. Like I said, I'm probably wrong. But the way I saw it was that once they learn it once, their exposure to it will make it so that it's not a problem anymore, that they'll have, I guess, internalized it, which actually probably goes with mapping or simplicity. That once they've done it once, it's not going to be that they're continuing to, like, they'll probably jump right to expert level, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, the actual definition is the path to become proficient. So, like, how long is it going to take them to understand those instructions? And I personally, I don't know, when you look at it, I look at it and I still, like, actually, I just realized at the end of the question, it says, what should you do to fix the temperature in both the freezer and the refrigerator? I don't know if we actually have to answer that, but I still don't know. I understand how to get colder some things, but I don't understand I don't see the connection, what goes up and what goes down. I mean, I guess anyway, I'm just saying, so the path to becoming the path of the learnability, I think is hard. So, I mean, you're right, like once you learn it, although that's one of those things that you hardly ever use. So she probably would forget how to use it once if she ever had to mess with it later.
I wondered about that too.
So, I mean, anyway, I don't know. I think I would think that.
Yeah, I think even just the fact that it says now she is more confused than ever, I think that's a good indication that there's going to be some learnability issues, that as soon as she looks at it, she's more confused. So
And in the example, it does say like the professor has already learned how to use it, so that's why it's
Yes.
not a problem. So I think it
Yes.
would be a problem because she doesn't know how to use it.
Yes.
Okay, I agree. Okay. I'm making notes in the Google Doc so we remember what we're talking about. I'm recording this too, but still. That way we don't have to go through this long thing. Okay, so familiarity.
I would say there's not an issue here because, like I said, with the efficiency thing, like the efficiency was like that the knobs, you know, would turn fine, but this is familiarity. It should look similar to other refrigerators, but that's, don't know if that's right.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, the way I worded it was that it could be a problem because user doesn't seem to recognize it from exposure to something else. Meaning if she doesn't recognize it, because it talked about familiarity being recognition in the book. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
it
guess
wasn't
just like
a huge problem, just could be.
if we were looking at the scoring thing, it says the interface is indistinguishable from other elements with which the target user has experience. So if she's ever switched the knobs on a refrigerator before, then it should be, you know, I mean, the score, if we were giving it a score, I would say maybe like 1 because it says the elements of the interface are similar in design and usage to other interfaces the user is likely to have encountered before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I thought familiarity wouldn't be an issue because she probably has had a fridge at some point that she had to, you know, adjust the knobs. It's
But
just this specific fridge.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Okay, so
can you guys hear me?
yes.
Okay, sorry, my computer went out for a second, but I put that it's not good because even if I realize that there are knobs, but that system is, I mean, if I look in my fridge, it's like, it has temperatures and not anything like this. So I mean, yes, I guess it's the same in the sense that there's knobs that you have to turn, but if you don't understand, like this system to me is set up so differently and confusing that I put familiarity was not good.
Yeah, I put it as a score of 0 because it seemed completely novel or shared design elements with interfaces that the user was unlikely to have encountered before.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Because it seems, I know I looked in my fridge, and my fridge, the freezer and the fresh food look the same. Like they're both the numbers.
Yeah.
And so you just turn the knob on the freezer to say, okay, I want that to 6 and I want the fridge to be, 4, whatever. And it's perfect. But this one, they're combining the two, the freezer and the fresh food, into one thing.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't know how to use it. I'd call somebody.
We should be looking to see what Brittany put through.
Oh, that's true. I should pull up Brittany's.
I don't know why I thought I had that up, but
I almost pulled Brittany's up, but I wanted to make sure I did my thing right. But then I was really tempted to just like look at it and be like, oh yeah, she's right there.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So she said that the efficiency of the system is typical in design. Learnability of the system is not easy to learn to use. The information is unclear and there's no additional instruction available without turning it to an outside source. Okay, so she agreed with us on learnability that it wasn't good. Familiarity, the system is similar to others in other fridges. So she went with that it's similar, like Miranda, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going by voices. At the moment. I'm getting better at distinguishing. Okay. And then simplicity, the user is not required to know a lot to use it, is what she put. And I actually said that the mental model was small, that she was likely to internalize it, meaning that once she knew it once, that she'd be able to probably remember it. I don't know.
And I put that the controls are overly complicated.
And I actually on that one I wrote, this seems to be an issue, question mark, because I wasn't quite sure how to even explain it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, golly. We need to find an efficient way to actually do this. Maybe we should all, when we work on it, put it in the Google Doc so that all we have to do is go, oh, so-and-so was different than ours, and then we talk about why it was different.
Yeah.
Efficient way. Okay. Trying to think of a way to make this quicker.
Yeah. Okay, what did you guys put for mapping?
Brittany put there might be some issue here. The ideal model that the designer is trying to express is not clear to the user. I put that there were several clues about how to use the system, because if you look at it, it says do C and 5 to get normal settings. It just wasn't several clues on how to use it, the freezer by itself and the fresh food by itself. But to use the system, it seemed like there were clues. But I don't know. I'm starting to question my thoughts.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I really don't know. I think as long as we give a good explanation of what we choose, I really don't. I mean, I'm just saying, I can't imagine us getting all of those last ones right. And not saying that we should not do good work, because but I really feel like if we explain what we're saying well, like, I don't think that we get marked down for that.
I don't think so either. I think that's actually why we got full points on the other one. I don't know that we got them all right. I know she commented on one that we did do correctly, but she just said that we did a good job of explaining how we got to that conclusion. So I think as long as we do that, that's fine. My thing about mapping is just that it almost seems like it would make more sense for the freezer knob to be in the freezer and the refrigerator knob to be in the refrigerator. So I think the part of the thing about the mapping is just that, but I don't know how much that, I don't know. I mean.
Yeah, because I thought the mapping, hold on.
But I have to, someone's here that is going to help me do something. So I just got to talk to her for just a minute. I'll be right back on. I'm keeping you guys on. I'm just muting myself so you don't hear me.
Okay.
But I'll be right back on.
Sounds good.
So as you can see, I'm really bad at these.
It's not. I really don't think it's that. I mean, I think we each have our own opinion and we see the problem differently. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And so I don't necessarily think that. Like I said, I don't really know if these necessarily have like a clear cut right and wrong. I think it's to help us look at things, and it is good that we're in a group because we have different opinions, and I mean, you know, because that's true with anything. People look at different situations differently. So, I mean, I feel like it's good to kind of hear other people's point of view. But I feel like once we go, unless there's something that's just like, you know, if there was something blatantly wrong, but I feel like as long as we go in and explain our answers, I really don't feel like that. I feel like it's kind of almost, I mean, it's different for different people, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
So.
Okay.
And I just pulled up the definitions for everything. So on this one, it says clues within the design, encouraging the user to form a consistent mental model of the system. And I just put that it's a little inadequate because there are some clues to let you know how to get the refrigerator colder or hotter, but not enough that the user can form a consistent mental model of the system. Like it would take some work to definitely figure it out.
Right, and it gives some clues, but doesn't give any clues on how to do them separately for freezer and fresh food. So I can see how there'd be some issues, but at the same time, it does give some clues. So I think I agree with your statement. This one, I think the biggest overall problem in my opinion at least, was the visibility, because the information that was visible was conflicting, meaning that you had freezer and you had fresh food, but you had to put them together to get the temperature, meaning they weren't separately set. But I don't know, because I also put that trust was a problem because the feedback takes a while, meaning it takes 24 hours to make sure you did it right. But
that's how I put trust. I said it works, and she trusts that if she moves the knobs, it's going to change the temperature. So there's trust like that, but
that's a good point.
But then I put, but she does not trust that she will set the temperature right.
Right, that she doesn't have confidence in herself.
Yeah.
She's confident that the fridge will do
what it's
supposed to do. Meaning if she says, I'll put it on 3, that it's going to do 3.
It's going to do something. But I just said that's going to probably take her more than one time to get the exact temperature, temperature she wants. So.
Okay. And then motivation, again, it was talking about the feedback, because it talked about getting negative feedback was not good motivation, but I don't think that actually goes with that. But I did also say that will make the user second guess themselves all day, which doesn't give motivation to do it again. But I don't think that's right. I think there's probably more emotion on the motivation.
Sorry, I skipped that one, huh? I actually skipped that one. Or did I? Yeah, I forgot to even put that in. But yeah, I would think she's motivated in the sense that she needs to use it. Mm-hmm. She needs to get her freezer and fridge working in the right temperature.
At the same time, though, would the user prefer not to use the interface?
Well, true, I guess, but
I think I wouldn't. But
yeah. You know what's weird about it? When I look at it, what it's really, I think, is saying is like the higher up on the freezer you go. So like the E is the coldest and A is probably the warmest. But the weirdest thing is why they just couldn't use numbers or something. I mean, you know what I mean? And then the way they explain it is like the little normal C and 5. You know what I mean? Like that's just totally super weird.
Have you got a bagel? Yeah. Okay. Will you go sit on the couch and eat your bagel? You can take this with you if you want. You want this? It's green. It's green. Okay. Okay.
And then the last one's visibility.
Yeah, which I thought was probably the biggest because it seemed like the information visible was conflicting. But I don't know, because when I look at it, for cold or fresh food, 6 and 7 are needed, but C is needed for you need C and the higher numbers on fresh food to make it colder.
Yeah.
But does that mean that the freezer itself will be warmer because it's on C? Or because warmer fresh food also has C, and then the numbers are 4 through 1. But for colder freezer, you need a D. And so it's almost like, well, if I want a cold freezer, I need to put it on D.
Yeah.
But then I also need to put the numbers over here for fresh food on like 3 to get warmer stuff. It's a little confusing on how it's said, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's the weird. I mean, that's what. I mean, they just did it not good at all. Like, I mean, there's no totally different views.
I mean, why did they put A through E instead of just 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
Is that? I'm back. Sorry. Is that a visibility issue though, or is that one of those other things?
I thought it was visibility, but it may not be.
My take on visibility was more just an obvious visibility. Just because when I was looking at, let's see, data or functionality required to complete a scenario cannot be found by the target user. So it's not making sense to her, but the information she does need is right in front of her. So I don't know. That's sort of, so the degree in which the functionality and the data of the system is available to the user when he needs it. So I kind of thought like that the fact that the controls are right there and they are labeled, that one is freezer and one is fridge, it's visible. That was my take on it, at least. That, but it's another issue that, you know, the reason for them, you know, the labels not being, you know, the ABC and all of those different things or something different. But I guess just when I looked at what it says, if you're looking at a 0, let's see, the target user is able to locate all the data and functionality required to perform a scenario without undue inconvenience. Well, other things are causing an inconvenience, but she's able to see the things she needs right in front of her. But
That's true. I guess I was thinking of the quiz question with the sprinklers and having to flip all the switches. That ended up being visibility. That was the one I kept getting wrong over and over and over again.
I thought it
I thought
was,
it was mapping, and I thought it was this, and I thought it was that, but it
it ended up being visibility.
Mhm.
I thought it was, I thought that one was,
Wait, no, I'm sorry. That was mapping. Never mind. Don't listen to me.
or it was simplicity, I thought, or familiarity.
Hold on. I'll
I
pull
can't
it.
remember. I took it too long ago.
I think I'm pretty sure that one was either simplicity or familiarity, but maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one, wrong question.
I
I
just
don't
know
know.
that one took me forever and a half.
But
Hold on.
sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say I did think it was just talking about the visibility of this switch, and I put that it was pretty convenient. Besides, she said she had to move stuff. It was on the top shelf, in the back of the top shelf. So I just put she probably had to move some stuff to get to it, but it is right there. So I didn't put numbers to any of these, but I put the visibility was okay.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, I'm pulling it up. Yeah, it was visibility for that one. I was right. That the sprinklers shooting in, they had 12 different zones, and they couldn't troubleshoot all of them. They had to just do one, and so the visibility, there was too much to try and do, I think was what it was. The feedback on it said, I do not have enough information presented at decision time to make the correct decision. The first problem is visibility. Once it's fixed, then all is well. That was the feedback on it. So that's kind of why I was like, oh, well, maybe it's visibility. Maybe, but you are right. There are labels. And so I think, given enough time, they'd be able to look through and really finally figure out.
Oh, well, is that what it was then with the sprinklers? None of them were labeled. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Trying to remember.
So I think that is what it was.
Okay.
So these are labeled. So I don't think visibility is a problem. I think we're probably right with learnability being the issue because they don't know how to use it. And I think that's why it's the problem. If they knew how to use it, visibility wouldn't be a problem. They'd be able to map it well, the simplicity, they'd be likely to internalize it, familiar, I think it's probably all hinging on learnability.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree.
I agree.
And I mean, Miranda, we were just saying, I don't know if you heard, but I honestly feel like, I think you were here, but I feel like whatever we choose on these, like, I think as long as we explain our thinking, I think different people have different trains of thoughts. And I just feel like as long as we're writing stuff down and explaining our situation. So, I mean, I don't know if it matters who takes that one necessarily, to actually type it up, because I feel like even if we differed on some of them, I honestly don't think that it's a huge deal as long as we explain our choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brittany actually chose learnability to begin with. I think, wait, Sarah, you chose learnability too, didn't you?
I actually didn't know you had to choose one. I just went through everything and explained my decisions on everything. And then do any of you know, do we really have to answer that actual question that said, what should she do to fix the temperature in both the freezer and the refrigerator? Like,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's a rhetorical question of, this is what needs to, what you need to base your.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know. I still don't know what she would have to do. So I don't want to have to figure that one out.
Yeah, I think after looking at it, that it's probably, if she wants the freezer to be cold, she needs to do the lower alphabet numbers. So D and E are the colder. And then the lower numbers on the fresh food are warmer. So that would be my,
I think so too.
that would be what I would guess, and would probably be wrong partially, probably lots. I'd probably lose my entire fridge. I don't know. Okay.
Okay. So the next one.
Yeah, let's move on. I think Brittany's probably got a good write up for that one. We could probably put hers in there. I think
Okay.
she's got a good thing there. I'm actually gonna copy that over to Google Doc and just put that in there so we know.
That sounds good.
Folded.
Okay. But on the second one, I mean, the efficiency is, I put that's good. I mean, the stove works.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a problem. You can quickly turn the knobs.
Yes.
I put that learnability was good. The knobs are clearly marked. I mean, if you look at the picture, I mean, she doesn't know how to use it, but it's intuitive and it's not hard to learn. But
Yeah, I put learnability that the user is likely to achieve the expert status. You know, they'd have to have a little bit of exposure, say, turn this knob. Oh, okay, so that's back, and then they'll be fine.
yeah.
I can't actually. Oh, wait, no, I can see. They are labeled perfectly. That one shows a circle to the back, that one shows a circle to the front.
Yeah. And I put familiarity. I put it's good because that's how other ones are marked. I mean, that's something similar that you would see on other stoves.
Mm-hmm.
Simplicity, I put that it's good too because it's just a knob that you have to turn. I mean, and it's familiar. I mean, I know that's kind of combining two, but it wouldn't take long for her to master.
Yeah, it's simple in design and likely to be internalized. She'll likely remember it.
Yeah.
Okay. A mapping. F2 is given to encourage a consistent mental model. Yeah, I mean, the pictures even show one's back, one's forward.
Yeah, I put that it was good, familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Her motivation is good because she needs to get it off to.
Yeah, the pot's boiling over and they need to change the knob.
Yeah, she wants to use the system.
So really the issue might be the emotional stress with it, meaning the motivation that she has to do it, but maybe it's not. I don't know.
I mean, I think the issue is just with familiarity. She's not familiar. I mean, she's not familiar with maybe this particular stove. I mean, if we have to pick something that is actually wrong, I don't even see anything wrong with this situation.
Yeah, because the buildability there, it's clearly, you know, there's clear signs.
Yeah. So I don't really see anything wrong with it except for just she's never used this particular stove before. But does it say we have to actually pick which one is wrong? Like there's a breakdown or just?
Probably not, because it says in the instructions, each problem lists the 8 variables of usability. Describe how each variable applies to each problem. Indicate which variable is most responsible for the usability problems encountered.
Okay. Well, then I would say it's just, I mean, not that it, I mean, just unfamiliar. I mean, the familiarity, even though that's good, but maybe just she's not familiar with it.
Wouldn't that, the things that we're kind of saying, wouldn't that go kind of with the simplicity part? So I guess what I'm, so I just keep going back, even though the numbers kind of confuse me, I'm going back to the thing that it says there. So simplicity says the amount the user needs to know to master the system. So because it's unfamiliar to her, like the specific, it says, the design presents the smallest and simplest mental model currently known. So her mental, I don't know if I'm, I guess so. The -2 says the mental model required of the interface exceeds the capacity of the target user. So would it be simplicity? Because to her, I feel like it's got to be one of them that's got to be an issue. I don't know that.
Very, very light air.
I mean, just going by the definitions, I guess if we had to pick one, then maybe it would be simplicity.
Because it does say simplicity in its simplest terms is a measure of how much the user needs to know to operate the design.
Or is it just familiarity and it's super obvious just because even though it doesn't specifically go with that, she says she's never been in that person's kitchen. She obviously doesn't, I mean, well, I guess not obviously, but my guess is she doesn't have a gas stove, maybe. She has an electric stove. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, trying to recognize what the,
The knobs do that, and
what
if
the knobs
water
are
is
doing.
boiling over, she's not going to be taking the time to sit down and look at the symbol on the knob.
Yeah.
She's just going to be like, oh, I don't know which one's the backboard and which one's the front. I don't, on
Yeah.
mine, maybe the knobs aren't even on the side here. Maybe they're up on the top. Because with an electric stove, I think the knobs are probably up in the middle, like if it's a flat one or it's a
Yeah, well, so she can narrow it down to 2 knobs, but she's not sure which is the
back and which one's the front.
yeah. So she would know that, say it's on the left-hand side, she'd know it's one of those, but she's not paying attention to the.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's a thing in familiarity. Let's see what Brittany said.
She
Brittany.
actually said mapping and visibility, but she must have not been able to see the controls. I mean
I saw visibility.
the
I had to get
icons.
the screen bigger to see.
Yeah, no, I can see them. They're tiny for the picture, but I can see them. So she must have not realized that those were there. So if they weren't there, then that hers would totally make sense. That mapping and visibility would be right. But there are actually icons there.
Because she said that there needs to be metaphor/icons showing which knobs can go which burner, but there are. So I don't think she saw them.
Yeah, I don't think she did.
Okay,
So I can take this one if that's okay.
that's fine. And we're going with familiarity or simplicity?
I think probably I really think familiarity.
Yeah.
It's just,
No,
it's
I
not-
think you're right.
Because when you were saying simplicity, you said because she wasn't familiar, and that right there.
Yeah.
tells you that that's
Yes.
the-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I realized after I said it, I'm like, well, that makes more sense to be familiarity because she quite possibly has never used a gas range, and that's what the issue,
Yeah.
So
Okay, I put your name on it, Miranda.
I think
It was me,
Sarah.
Sarah. Okay, I'm not as good as I thought I was at voices.
And sorry, no, mine's gone out twice. Like
mine keeps cutting out too. I don't know if it's saying I'm
Okay.
gone, but it keeps cutting out.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah's got that one.
Okay.
And deal. Okay, the keyboard. We're moving along.
Yeah. So
This
this
is the
one was
last
a little bit harder for me just because I didn't know what they were meaning. Well, I mean, my take on it was just like learnability. I think it's never easy to learn to type, you know what I mean? But it wouldn't be any harder to learn how to type that particular keyboard than the QWERTY one if that's what you were if that's what you started on. So this one was a little bit harder because I wasn't 100% sure what it was actually asking me the whole, I mean, I get the situation, but you know what I mean? Like, are we talking about learning how to use that keyboard or?
So this is what I found. Let me find the actual definition. One sec. Because I was thinking, come on, computer, find the right section. What was it? Hold on. So here, under familiarity, if you look at the scoring, number -2, previous experience will severely handicap the user's attempt to use the interface.
Oh, okay.
So used to the
Other one.
Yes.
that as they're typing, they're going to think, oh, wait, I'm supposed to click this one for W because they're so used to it, and it might hinder them from learning the other one.
Okay.
I think that learnability, I think there's a few at play here, though. I think
I know.
learnability is also the issue because that path to becoming proficient, considering
It will
he's been
take a
using the
long
QWERTY.
time.
Yeah, considering he's been using the QWERTY keyboard, like how did it say? I'm trying to remember now. Let me go back. I've got like 3 different windows open here.
I know,
so
me too.
go back to the. Okay, so he's a college freshman. So he's been using. Oh yeah, so he learned the QWERTY one in elementary school. So he's been using that for long enough that I think the learnability. I think learnability is going to be an issue.
Yeah.
But
there.
will the learnability be an issue because of familiarity?
I
Well,
think
see,
it
and
doesn't-
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I don't know that it matters. I think that if they're both an issue, I don't think that this is one where we have to pick just one or the other. I think that it probably is because of familiarity, but they're both going to be an issue. I think.
Okay.
So I think as long as we explain that, don't you think?
Yeah.
I totally agree.
No, I had the learnability was very, he'd be very unlikely to reach expert for a long time because it was so similar to his other keyboard. So
Yeah.
because of familiarity. So I had both of those for this one. You know, he has sufficient mapping and clues to figure it out. Efficiency, you know, he pushes a key, it's going to push that key.
Yes.
You know, motivation, he's motivated to learn because it will be more efficient in the end. You know, he will have lots of negative feedback, but nothing that's compromising the data that he can't trust it.
Yeah.
Visibility, the information's easy to find. So it's definitely learnability and familiarity.
Yeah, and how does so I'm having a hard time, I guess, a little bit with the simplicity thing, because when I keep reading the definition, that part that the amount the user needs to know to master the system, where does that come into play in this? Like in this one?
So what I said on this one was he doesn't need to know much. He just needs to practice. Meaning,
Okay.
it's not like he has to sit down with an instruction manual. Okay, how do I type this S key?
Yeah.
You know, he can just sit and push S, and it's going to work. He just has to have practice in order to actually, because he knows enough to use it.
That rag might be gross.
He'll probably finger type it to actually use it for the first time. So he's like, oh wait, this key's way over here. That was my take on it.
No, and I agree with that. Like, if you just look at it, it's simple to use. It's not, it's just hard for him because he already knows the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're typing. So,
You want me to take that one and I can write that one up?
sure.
Okay. It was Sarah that was saying, that was actually right, you know, walking us through it, right?
On this one?
Meaning that you were the one reading or going through each of the ones and saying which one you thought was specifically. I'm trying to remember who it was that was going.
Sorry, I guess.
That was the last one. Don't.
Yeah, mine was the last one.
Don't listen to me. I didn't want to take it from Miranda if Miranda was the one that was like, oh no, I totally had this one.
Oh no, I'm nope, just I'm good with whatever. So if you want this one, take it.
Okay. I'm familiar with this one at least because I didn't do any of the other ones yet. Okay. Number 4.
Now does this one of the ones that needed the numbers, or was that just the?
It says, well, this one, it says score -2 to 2 for each of those variables and provide a brief rationale why your score is correct. And then it says that on number 6 as well.
Yeah, 4 and 6. That was a nice full drop. Okay, so I'm just reading through it really fast. He's a secretary at a car dealership, spends a lot of time on the computer. It seems that Ken spends most of his time filling out forms and using cursor keys more than just about any other key on the keyboard. One day he comes across a new keyboard that has the cursor keys arranged in a plus sign rather than the typical inverted T. Eager to make his job easier, he bought one of these keyboards after a couple hours. However, he switched back to his old keyboard. And then, so just score it -2 to 2, each of the 8 variables, and provide a brief rationale why your score is correct. Okay, so he thought it was going to be more efficient, but it ended up not being, probably for the same reason before, as he wasn't familiar with it. He'd probably
Yes,
I agree.
and have issues.
I agree.
But number wise.
Okay, so number wise, I've got the variable usability score up too, just to try and help. Thank you to whoever put that together. I think it was Dallas.
I totally was like, someone put something up, but then I couldn't find it when I went back. I couldn't find what discussion board he put that on, and I was like,
yeah, it took me a little bit to find it. I saved because I have I have it email me whenever someone posts on any board. And so I had that sitting in my inbox to remind me that it was there. And I didn't realize that it actually had a link to the PDF right there. So I actually went back and to the discussion board that it said it was on. Anyway.
So this one, it's kind of the same, but how do you score it as far as, because I mean, if other people use that, it would be fine, but are we just scoring it on him, like using that system?
Just on him using it, the user.
So then I guess it would be -2 on that one.
On what?
On the efficiency. Users of the interface are less productive than with the comparable system. I would think that would be -2 for efficiency if we're judging it on him using this system.
That's the issue, though. Is
one of the things said I was confused about when we first started talking,
Right.
because some of it, if we did that, then that would be the problem with everyone. All of
Right.
the ones we've done, efficiency would be an issue.
Right, but I think
So-
it's more of them going, because it's labeled correctly. The arrow, I mean, it shows you which button it goes for which arrow.
Yeah.
And he can be efficient in pushing the buttons.
Yeah.
But like you said, you know, less productive than any comparable system. But
Yeah, so I think it's an efficiency.
it's comparable.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry.
No, I realized I'm like, oh, I think she was talking, but it was like in the background. So I thought it was someone in the background, but it was you. So sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. So the efficiency, I'm wondering, is a comparable system, meaning between the T and between the plus sign, or is comparable meaning compared to other plus signs? Meaning other devices that have the plus sign symbol for the arrows. Meaning, is it efficient, meaning the amount of effort and time required to perform the task? Is the task just him going down, just him going up, or is it completing the entire job that he's doing for work? Meaning, what is the task that he's performing?
I just thought it was talking about actually him using that system. But I mean, and I'm not saying, because I totally agree with what you're saying on the efficiency, because it would be bad. That would be a bad score for all of them. But if we're going by this part that is up, like the variables of.
I don't know. I guess I think with
Did I lose everybody? Are you back? Are you back? That was weird. All of a sudden, like, people jumped out.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was with that. All of a sudden I was talking and I'm like, oh,
I know you were talking, then all of a sudden Sarah started talking, then she dropped out, and I was like, what is going on?
Keep saying I'm getting some error.
No, mine is doing it too.
That's weird. I wonder if it's
So
my issue somehow.
I don't know what the deal is, but I still think it's not an efficiency issue. I think it's more, it goes back to that familiarity, because he's not being efficient, but it's because he's not familiar with it.
Mhm.
And so it's not an issue of the keyboard that it's not an efficient design, because we don't really know. Like, we don't really know. We just know what it's based on what he's familiar with. Because
Right.
I don't know. I'm trying to think like what kind of keyboard I've used. I don't know. You know, I don't know that it's the keyboard isn't efficient so much as it's that, yeah, he's not being efficient at it. But I think that goes back to the familiarity piece.
Mhm. I think if you were familiar with it, he would be efficient at it, because if you think about the light switch, the light switch responded to the user input immediately, meaning this is going to respond immediately to him pushing the button. It's his own error with using it and being familiar with it that's hindering him from being efficient.
Yeah. So I think with this one, because we have to number them, I think that it's not, you know, wonderful, but it's not bad. So I think that, so let's see. So productivity of members of the target user group is typical when compared to similar designs.
Mhm.
So
I think similar designs, meaning the same kind of plus sign. Meaning if you were to have another keyboard that had the same plus sign, but it was slightly different, the plus sign was.
Yeah, and I don't think there's enough information for us to know specifically, because then if you give it like a -2, it would be saying users of the interface are less productive than with any comparable system. And we don't really know. We only know his experience, but we also know that that's based on familiarity with him.
Mhm.
Right? Am I understanding it right?
You are. I would think it would.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So learnability, I mean, it's kind of the same, right? I mean, if you're it depends on what we're judging this on. If we're judging on his learnability, it would be hard. But if we're just judging on learnability of using those keys, it's no harder than any other system to learn. Just what
Right.
you're familiar with.
It's just going to take practice.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I mean, we had the same, you know, we said that learnability was going to be hard with the last keyboard, because you're going to have to learn all the different, where everything's placed. These
Yes.
aren't placed any differently, except that the plus or the up, the down arrow is down just a little bit more.
Yes.
So I mean, it's not necessarily a learnability error. It's more likely that a few of the users will probably. I mean,
I agree, and I think it's just. I mean, I think all the answers are the same as the last one. The only difference here is we have to give it a score. I mean, we think it. I mean, it's kind of the exact same problem as the last one. So
not necessarily totally the same, because there was a lot more of a learnability curve with having to learn an entire keyboard than learning part of it.
well, I mean,
Learnability would be like a 1, where it's virtually all the users will achieve at least an intermediate, and or a majority will achieve expert. It just has to take practice. They need to be familiar with it.
well, yeah.
Other keyboard, it probably would have been more likely that only a few would, people would only probably get to intermediate, because it would take them too long and they'd probably give up and go back. I don't know, but he
Yes.
gave up and went back.
Yeah.
Maybe
But
you're right.
I mean, I
know.
guess all I'm saying though is it's basically. I mean, I would think if we have to choose one that's worse, it would. I mean, the one that's the breakdown maybe is familiarity.
Mhm.
Yes.
You just have to go through and pick a number for the rest of them. I mean, since we have to do numbers on these.
Well,
Like-
I think we have to explain why the number, but I think some of them,
Yeah.
I mean, like on learnability, I would actually say a 0. I don't think it's horrible, but I don't think it's great. So I just think the way it says, it's likely that a few of the users will achieve expert status, or a majority of the users will achieve intermediate proficiency level.
Yeah.
Like the other ones say it's, probable that no one will, or that, that
lots
sort of
will,
stuff.
yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
I think that's probably good.
I don't know though, because then
Here, let's look at Brittany's. We've
oh
got
yeah,
Brittany
good idea.
too. Brittany.
There's somewhere.
Oh, Brittany, actually, we didn't look at hers on the keyboard, but she said that familiarity was the huge problem. He's too familiar with the other keyboard, and that learnability takes a long time to go from a novice typist to an expert. So she agreed with us. Phew. Okay. All right. So yeah, she put learnability as 0. He knows how to use the keyboard with arrow keys. Efficiency, she put it as a 2. The arrows work and respond as needed. Familiarity was a -2. He's familiar with a different.
Yes,
setup.
that's what I would say.
Much more difficult for him to use this setup. 0, simplicity, because it was small mental model. Mapping with 0. The user and the system share a mental model of how the buttons work. Motivation, he's got enough motivation, but not excited for the change. It's not fun or rewarding to learn it. I would disagree, because they said that it would be more efficient. So I think he's got a little bit of motivation, but at the same time he got frustrated and gave up. So maybe there isn't enough motivation to keep him excited. It's not that much of a change, whereas the keyboard, it was a huge change and there was a lot more motivation. I don't know. Maybe not.
I'm sorry, I am here, but I did not.
I don't know.
I didn't hear a lot of that. My computer it went out again for me.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, but I just can't comment on what you're saying because I
No.
hear like half of it.
Okay, where did I leave you? Was
No,
it
you're
motivation?
fine. I mean, you're fine. Brittany, I mean,
Yeah, I actually, on motivation, hold on, let me make sure I'm looking
Yeah,
at
tell
the
me
right
what you
problem.
guys said on motivation, because I thought maybe motivation. Trust me, I didn't do this one. This is
I
my
actually put a 2. Let me look at what the thing says, because I
doesn't he have enough motivation? He's excited about it.
enjoy using the interface, yielding feelings of satisfaction, pleasure, and similar positive emotional. Oh, no, maybe it would just be like a 1, because it's not like he's excited necessarily, but he wants to make his job easier.
Right.
So I would say a 1.
Okay.
I did put a 2, but now that I'm looking at it, I would say a 1.
Okay, and then trust, the keys work as expected. Invisibility, he can see the keys and what they do. So I
But
think.
sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was wondering on that one. He seems to have little trust in it after he uses it. Does that matter? Like that was one of the questions I had. That but is that just because of the familiarity? Because it says, I guess it doesn't matter. It's when he's starting to use it.
Yeah,
Let's
because I think
see.
trust in the system. So think back to the quiz where the teacher lost everything, where he had to put everything in Notepad.
Yes.
That lost his trust because he lost everything. This, I think, is just that he got frustrated with his inability to use it. So I don't think it's a trust issue. He trusts that it would work. He doesn't trust himself, though, in being.
Okay. Good point. Okay.
And
that was one of the things that kind of, I don't know, so occasionally those things get me and I'm like, wait, am I
know.
just because then it says like a -1, the user is hesitant to use the system, but that wasn't until after he did use it. So
Right.
okay.
I mean, we could put he's hesitant to use it again.
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to. That's the part that. No, I was just confused about that.
No, I mean, I could see that being a slight trust thing, because I mean, if he was like all excited about it and he starts to use it and he gets disappointment, then sure, his motivation's actually going to go down. He doesn't have enough. He's got enough motivation, but not excited or whatever. It's there's no reward anymore because he gave up. I don't know. I mean, there would be a reward though. So I think motivation is not. I think motivation is a 1, like you guys were saying, that he's got some motivation. There's going to be a reward if he finally learns it, that it would be more efficient. But trust could be a -1 because now that he's used it and he's not satisfied with it, I could see there being a little bit of a trust issue. He's not likely to pick it up and try again because of previous experience. Did I lose you guys again?
No, I'm here. Dang it, why? I know it's not.
I lost him again.
Can you hear me?
Hey.
Now I can. I'm sitting here going through this whole spiel, and I was like, everyone's quiet, and I'm like, did I lose you again?
I think we go
like
out at different times, so Miranda
totally
must be out,
froze.
but I'm here. And I was just gonna. The only thing that I have a hard time with these are some of them were answering them like him using them, but then other ones were answering like
The user,
like the typical user. So I think, I mean, I guess I don't know what the right answer is for that, but to me it seems like you would want to use either him for all of them, or like the efficiency for him in this system, the efficiency for learnability for him, not the typical user. I mean, because it seems like some of them, it just like the motivation that has to be for him. I mean, that can't be answered for the typical. Well, I mean, I guess it could be. I don't know. I think that's what's hard though, because some of these were answering like for him, but then other ones were answering just for an unknown user. So I mean, I just don't know what the right answer is for that. But I mean, what you're saying makes sense. So I mean, I just don't know what she wants.
I think that might be because the way we're doing it is maybe because some of the things are more targeted just to the user. So the motivation, like that's targeted, just to that user because it says, does the user want to use the system? Yeah. But the other things are, so like mapping, clues within the design encourage that user to form a consistent mental model, or even the, like the familiarity is, no, which one is it? The efficiency part, like, it says something about it being similar to similar designs. And so it says things about what other people would do. Like, is it this comparable to what, others would do? So I think maybe that's kind of what we're basing some of that off of, but I don't know.
That makes sense actually. And you're right. It does say on some of those, like the user, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Some of them seem a little more specific to the user than they do to the situation or to the interface even.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Okay. So I put this one in the Google Doc. I changed the motivation from Brittany's to be a 1 and the trust to be -1 and kind of fixed the thing. Let me know what you think of it, because I thought she had really good for the rest of it. It was just those 2 that we thought differently. It's in the Google Doc for that one. So just. And
then did you talk about visibility, or did I miss that on that one?
Just, he can see the keys and what they do. So I figure.
Yeah. Well, I just noticed she only put a 0 on it, and I think the visibility is probably better than that, but just because, right? Well, I mean, let me look at the.
It could be that it's neutral.
So, yeah, that's true.
Visibility.
Well, it says
able to locate all the data and functionality required to perform a scenario without undue inconvenience.
Yeah, I guess I was looking at, so a 1 says that all the data and functionality required to perform an action is present in a single location, though more convenient and useful formats exist. So
that might be it.
I just thought like that way it could be explained a little bit better that, okay, yeah, everything, all the arrows are right there, but the other, you know, the other keyboard, because that's what's more normal, is probably more convenient and more useful.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Because I know we have to justify why we've given it the numbers we've given it. So that might make more sense to justify that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And do you want me to take that one
sure.
Sure.
or not? I guess. Oh, I guess if you already put Brittany's.
I've got Brittany's notes in here, but.
Oh yeah. So then I'll just do I didn't even think about that part. So I'll just do a different one.
I had grabbed kind of what she had. If you want to, I mean, you can read through it and make sure that it, you know, if you want to justify things a little bit more, but I don't know. I'm not going to, sorry. I totally just took that from you.
No, that's great. It's fine.
Okay.
And you already put Brittany's for number 1 too, right?
I threw Brittany's in there for number 1 if you want to look over it. And it seemed like she had everything that we needed.
Yeah,
and it was explained really well, so I just grabbed that. I figure having Brittany's for 2 means Spencer's probably not going to be able to contribute. I don't know.
Well, there are 6 problems this time.
That's right. There's 6 problems this time, so we're good.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, good job, Brittany. Thanks for your help.
Well, and we talked through all that, and hers just, you know, she's got it all in one place. So
it all in one place. So just
yeah.
like the visibility thing, she gets the score number 1.
Okay. I don't have a whole lot of more time, so I mean, we just need to go through these last 2 kind of quicker, I think.
Yeah, no, I don't have a lot of time left either, so I'm trying to hurry through this. That's why I was like, here, let me throw this in here really fast while we're talking and try and expedite the process.
Yeah. Okay, so the timer.
I'm just going to say the only issue is familiarity.
Yeah.
No?
I mean,
visibility. Look, I don't see any reset button on this.
Well, that's what I said, because that's why it says, why don't you use the reset button? But I don't see a reset button, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Doesn't show one.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I was looking at the one where I hadn't copied the picture over. So, yeah, there isn't a reset button. I think you have to hold the minute and seconds at the same time or something. I think I have that one.
So maybe learnability would be. Maybe
so.
Learnability, I don't know.
Well, I think it would be more, it would be mapping then, right?
Mapping, yeah.
Okay, so this is what Brittany said. Let me run through.
And visibility.
I think. So Brittany said efficiency. It seems like it would take a lot of effort to get 14 to 12. So there's an efficiency error because you'd have to push the buttons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like the efficiency is hard. So I agree with that. Learnability. It's easy to learn how to use the device. Familiarity. He does not seem to have a familiarity with the system. I mean, he's never used at least this kind. Simplicity. There's not a large amount of knowledge needed to use the timer, so that's fine. Mapping. His model of how the timer works and what the buttons are for is different than the systems.
Yes.
He said the mapping was different. Motivation, he has enough to get the job done.
Yes.
Trust, he trusts the timer will do as it should. You know, it's going to go off when it's supposed to. Visibility, the reset button is not clearly labeled with the information needed to know how to reset it. So that's
yes.
I would agree with everything except for just, I would think the learnability would be a little bit hard just because there's button, you know, like the reset. I mean, so you have to learn how to use.
Curve.
So, I mean, but I agree with everything else she says, I think is good.
Okay, well.
I don't know that I agree with the efficiency part, but I think it's one of those things that, yeah, the efficiency comes into play, but it's because of the other issues. So then we go back to that thing. Do we put efficiency on everything?
No. So efficiency in this case, I agree with, because I've had to use these timers before, and if I need to get it to 60 minutes or to 30 minutes, and you push
that many times. Yeah, that's true.
No, see, I have an alarm clock that's the same way. It's got a minute button.
That's true. You're right.
Forever.
I wasn't thinking about that. Like when you have to, yeah. No, I would agree.
Yeah, it takes forever. So I copied hers in. We can you fix it how you want. I'm going to put your name on it.
Okay.
because this was, I think, the best write-up for it, because we were all like, yes, 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 yes. You take it and fix the one that you need. That'll actually save us time. Thank you again, Brittany. Because really, it's not like, okay, well, you take this one, you take this one. It was to select the best answers from everybody and put it all in one document. So it's not necessarily we all have to do something. It's which ones did we all agree were the best answers.
Yeah.
So I'm glad Brittany had something. Maybe we should all make our own Google Doc like Brittany did, and we can look back and forth between everybody's. Maybe we'll do that, and then we can take, okay, copy and paste from this one, throw it in the actual document. Copy and paste from this one, show it in the actual document within us too.
Yeah.
That maybe when everyone's done, just throw a link up, say this one's mine, this one's mine, this one's mine. And we'll all go through it. Maybe that'll make it more efficient. Because this definitely made it efficient for Brittany, because all we had to do was pull it right out.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. We're pounded down. Last one. Okay, he's driving the car. I'm trying to read through it.
This one I said familiarity again, but also mapping. I didn't look at Brittany's. She said.
Wait. It's a little too far forward. He reaches under the seat for the release mechanism, and it suddenly shoots forward, and the car comes to a screeching halt. So he knows where it is. He's familiar with it. Because he reached under the seat for it. He knew where it was.
Oh. I guess I was thinking, yeah, I guess I was thinking about because he's new to driving. So I guess my thought was that he's just, there's still a familiarity issue with it because he obviously has never actually moved it while driving because he's doing it while he's driving. So that was kind of what I thought, but I guess that can, yeah.
Right, but is that a familiarity?
No idea.
It's not a visibility. It might be a trust because he trusted it to go forward and it all of a sudden shot forward. What are the other ones? Motivation, no. Mapping, maybe. Simplicity, he knows what he needs to master the system, so that's fine. Learnability, maybe. Efficiency, it was very efficient. It shot him fast.
Is this one that we have to do the numbers on?
Yes.
Yeah. Wait, no, because it doesn't say that.
I think it does in the actual.
Somewhere too.
It says it right under the picture.
Oh, okay. Score such and such. Got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I looked at Brittany's, which didn't have it. I copied it straight from, so it is in the Google Doc. So Brittany actually does not have numbers on hers. But she said, let me just make sure that we're all kind of on a thing. So she said mapping. He thinks it doesn't see the mapping as the system does. He obviously did not know that it would fully release the seat as it did. And then she doubts he would still trust the seat release mechanism. It was a cause for embarrassment in front of his dad. Which, I think he would just be more cautious around it, but I don't think it's that he wouldn't still trust it. I don't know. Visibility, she doesn't think it's an issue, even though she doesn't see it. Simplicity is fine. Familiarity, this is set up how other seats are set up. Typical design. Yeah, so she went with mapping. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Sounds like Miranda's back now.
Sorry, it's not. I mean, the connection has been terrible. Like I can only hear, but it could be. Obviously, there's some issues, but I don't know if this one was my internet because it was like where it would be like I never lost you, but it would be super garbled, like.
Right.
Anyway,
we're trying to decide for this one if it was mapping that was the main thing. That's what Brittany thought, and that's what either you or Sarah was saying.
I think Miranda said that, but I'll agree with that. So we just kind of need to figure out really quick what scores we would give it, and then I think we're done. I mean, I think the efficiency is typical. I would think it would be 0.
Okay, so efficiency, you think
Reading
0?
through the other one.
Yeah, because yeah, it responds to the use of the release mechanism rapidly.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. We're almost done. I'm sorry this is taking so long. We'll,
No,
we'll
it's
be
okay.
streamlined faster if we
Yeah.
all go and
I think-
figure it out.
I what are we on then? Efficiency? You said 0? Yes.
I think so. Learnability, I think, is probably 0 because you just reach under. It's easy to learn.
So
Yeah.
it probably would be actually higher than that, 1 or 2, because
Probably. Oh, yeah.
it shouldn't take him time at all to figure. That probably was the only time it will.
Familiarity, I would think, would be 1. I mean, there are cars that have different things, but they're
Mhm.
similar in design.
Yeah, because mine moves forward by a thing on the side, like the
Yeah.
one underneath.
My only thing
Yeah.
with familiarity was still just that he's a new driver, and so he hasn't had previous experience. But I guess if we're
Right, but if he knew where it was, that meant he was familiar enough with the car to know where it was in order to do it.
yeah,
It was, I don't know. Okay, learnability we decided was probably a 1 or 2, probably a 2.
1 or 2, yeah, either one.
Probably a 2, because yeah, he'd probably learn it really quick.
Yeah.
Simplicity. Let me scroll through my scores. It probably has maybe a 1 or 2 on simplicity too, because it's small and simple, and it's smaller and simpler than most comparable designs. It's probably like most comparable designs, not more than. Because there are others that are probably simpler to use. So probably a 0 on that one. Just because
I would think a 0 would be fine, yeah.
Yes.
mapping we thought was where the issue might be. So fails to encourage the user to form a consistent one, maybe a -1. Did I lose everybody?
No, I'm sorry. I was just thinking, because I
I
mean,
don't know.
the problem really is he used it while he was driving, right? Because if he was
Yes.
Yeah.
using it while he was stopped, it would be
That's-
fine.
That's honestly why I kept going back to the familiarity, just because he's a new driver, so he wouldn't have known that. But
Maybe
that's
it's
why this
trust
one's
then.
confusing me.
Maybe it's a
Yeah.
trust issue. That he trusted it to move forward slowly, and when it shot forward and screeched to a halt because it, startled him and he had to put the brake on, that it broke his trust in it. So now he's probably going to adjust his seat before he even starts driving.
Or
Try it again.
just that he trusted it to work smoothly while he was driving,
Right.
but it did not behave in a predictable way. So it,
So
I
he's
mean, he
nervous
trusted it to work one way and it didn't work that way while he was driving. So
Yeah,
it
so
could
he's
be
either hesitant-
trust. And then I mean,
Mhm.
or I guess, I mean, if we're using it that way, it could be, any other familiarity if you're using it while you're driving. I mean, I guess the system though works. So it would just be, I don't know.
Yeah, let me look. Well, I mean, it's on familiarity. Previous experience is likely to mislead the user or be counterproductive, but he hasn't had any previous experience in driving. So, I mean, a 0 on familiarity might work because it's a completely novel or shares design elements with interfaces that user is unlikely to have encountered. I don't know, because he's familiar with where it is, because he reached right down and pulled on it. He didn't look around for it. He reached right down. So that to me shows that he was familiar with it. He probably has just never tried it. So maybe that's more of a mapping thing or a simplicity thing than a familiarity thing, because it's more of he knew mapping where it was, not necessarily familiarity. I don't know.
I don't know. The more I think about it, but I mean, I think you could argue anything, and I think whatever we want to use. But I would think I almost think it's a trust. Like he trusted it to work one way,
Yeah.
and it didn't perform the way. And not saying that it was. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the way it worked. It was just how he used it. But I mean, he expected it to work one way. But I don't really think the mapping. I mean, maybe I don't really see what was wrong with the
problem. Yeah. It doesn't encourage or discourage any particular mental model, maybe a 0 on mapping, or do you think higher on mapping? The interface encourages the user to form a consistent mental model and discourages the user to create or retain an inconsistent mental model, maybe? I don't know.
I mean,
'cause
I think after it performed a different way, maybe it would be inconsistent. But from before, you know, like when he went to go and use it, I think, I don't know. I really don't know.
So maybe a -1 that it suggests an invalid mental model or fails to encourage the user to form a consistent one. I don't know. Maybe it's just a 0 on that one.
I would think just a 0 personally, but
no, that's fine. Motivation. He was nervous to use it at first because he was a new driver. So he had a little, I mean, he had motivation because he needed to move his seat forward.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that would just be a 0. He's neutral. It's not.
Okay.
I mean,
trust, though, we decided was probably, would it be a -1 or a -2, where he's only hesitant to use it, or he's extremely nervous, distrustful, or suspicious of the system?
Well, he's just nervous. So what would that be under?
Well, so nervous might be the same as hesitant, meaning where he's just hesitant to use it. So maybe a -1.
Yes, I would say -1.
Okay, and then visibility, I don't think that's probably like a 0. That would be my
well, except that let's see.
Yeah, say what you think.
Give me a second to look at it here. Data functionality required to link can be found. Okay, yeah, 0.
Yeah, because it's just without undue inconvenience. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he can find it, but he had to. Well, the first time he drove, I'm trying to think of this time. I'm trying to think. Like, you have to search. I mean, the visibility of moving your seat forward, like, it's not right there.
But didn't he just reach right down? He knew where it was.
Yeah.
He couldn't see it, but it didn't. It wasn't an inconvenience because he just reached right down. But maybe I'm reading that wrong.
No, I think that's right. I just.
Okay, I grabbed each of the numbers and I'll throw them in if someone wants to take care of the
Do we want to
writing it up.
Do we want to give that to Spencer, or did we give one to him?
We did not give one to him, so Spencer can have that one.
Okay.
Grab this, throw it in here, and say, Spencer, we've got all the numbers. Can you just rationalize them? And yeah.
And, you know, honestly, if he has a different take on one of them and he can explain it well, great. I mean, that's what I think Sarah was trying to say earlier. You know, as long as we can explain it and rationalize what we're trying to explain, I think it doesn't matter. I mean, well,
I agree.
It matters, it matters to a degree.
Just saying, I think that.
Yeah. So, yep. I think we're good then.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, Melissa, are you going to be able to turn it in again, or does someone else need to?
I can turn it again. That's fine.
Okay.
It doesn't take long to just say export to PDF or Word document and go, boom, there it is.
But is that going to work for you with wedding stuff? Is the wedding Friday or Saturday?
The wedding is Friday, but I should have time tonight to sit down and just, if everybody does their stuff.
Okay.
If Spencer doesn't get back to us by, say, tomorrow, meaning by tonight, then I might have one of you guys do it, because I just, with the wedding stuff, I'm probably likely to forget. I mean, it's due midnight Friday. So as long as we have everybody in, I can probably be on my phone, take it from Google Drive, download it, and upload it really quickly.
Yeah, I'm having issues remembering that, like, Slack is not like giving me the notifications for some reason.
Okay, so there's a ... at the, or not a ... It's the where it says the CS 330 or 371 group 2. There's a little drop down arrow.
Well, so will it only give me notifications if I'm actually on the?
That's how mine does too. So I don't get any. If I don't have it up, it it won't.
Yeah,
change.
that's what I was frustrated by. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's working great for everyone else, and I don't know if you guys even have like. I just know because of other classes, I have the Google Hangouts app on my phone, and there's a way to just get on that. Like we could, and get on that.
Do that. We can do that. We can keep the
that,
Slack for like uploading documents, so sending documents to each other, so it's not an email.
Yeah, that was just I didn't know for other people if something like that works, because I mean, like with the Hangouts, like I can, chat now, not later.
I have the app on my phone for Slack, and I have the app on my computer for Slack. Where it's always open anyway, so I never had that issue. But if you guys want to switch to Hangouts, I have Hangouts on my phone. We can do that.
Well, I can make this work. I just have to remember. Yesterday, my issue was I didn't know it wouldn't give me a notification unless I had the window open, and so then I'm like, oh, they've been talking, and I've been quiet because I didn't have it open.
You can also put, I think, desktop notifications on if it's like your computer, to where even if you close it, it'll still give you a desktop notification for it. I think. I could be wrong with that.
Okay, I may need to look at it again, but
yeah. But there is a specific app that you can download for the computer. I think it shows it at the top of the computer screen. If you have it in the browser, it says download the app for it in red, and you can do that, and it's free and just sits on your desktop like a normal any of your other programs.
Okay, I'll have to look and see because I didn't see that, so I don't know. I'll have to look into it.
Okay.
So.
If you need help looking into it, I can find something. But
no, I'm sure I can figure it out.
No, I'm honestly okay switching to Hangouts. If this is like causing undue stress, you're not.
Oh, no, it's not that. I just felt bad that I didn't realize you guys were all talking yesterday and I wasn't part of it. So
gotcha.
I just felt that. So, I mean, now that I know that it's, that I need, that I need it to be open, then yeah, it'll be easier for me, or I can figure out how to download it. But.
Okay. All right. So Spencer's doing number 6. Miranda, you're just going to.
I'm doing number 5, right? Number
5. Yeah. I mean, we've got what we thought it was. Just kind of fix up the descriptions or whatever.
Okay.
Make it your own. 4, I think we just took Brittany's and called it good. Just look over it and make sure that, because I changed a couple of them. I'm going to do number 3. I'll take care of that one.
Okay.
Sarah's do number 2, which she's actually already started. Good job. And number 1, Brittany already did. So we're good.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Yay. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Right. A long meeting. We will figure out how to streamline this.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna figure it out. So
yeah.
The 3 of us happen to be the guinea pigs for it. So unfortunately.
Well, thank you guys for being a great group. And
you too.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care.
Okay, great. Bye.
Bye.